Hello, it's Alex Stadler from StadlerCon. It's coming up on Mother's Day, and of course you're going to have breakfast in bed for your wonderful mother. I would suggest some toast, some scrambled eggs, run down the street, get a cappuccino, or just make a fresh hot pot of coffee or cafe au lait if you want. Something simple, up in bed, not too much fussing in the kitchen. And then for later in the day, at the end of the wonderful day where you went to the museum and maybe you had a picnic at a local garden like Chanticleer, or you went out for some fancy lunch and everybody wore a hat, at the end of the evening you'll have a chocolate mousse that you prepared the day before. Chocolate mousse was one of the first things I ever learned to cook when I was 8 or 9, probably from the Silver Palette cookbook. This recipe, all of its engineering comes from the Silver Palette ladies Julie E. Russo and Sheila Lukens. And it is simple enough that a child can make it, but it is delicious and seductive and sophisticated enough that when a child does make it, there's just this overwhelming sensation of, what have I wrought? This is absolutely delicious. And it is as delicious to me today as it was that first time I tasted it at 8. It is a sophisticated and gorgeous chocolate-y mousse. Like shooting the chocolate right into your nervous system. So, it's fairly simple. You need 12 ounces of chocolate. Again, because the flavor of this mousse is really nothing more than cream, chocolate, and a little bit of orange essence, and a little bit of brandy, we're going to use good chocolate. Not great chocolate, but good chocolate. I got some of this, and I got from the tea lady at Steep on 18th. She's now carrying this line called El Ceibo, which is really delicious. I am not a big fan of the $8 chocolate bar, but in the case of El Ceibo, it is worth your $8. We're gonna chop that up. Wank, bang, hack, snack. The child can break the chocolate with their fingers. There's no need for them to be using a large, dangerous, and potentially murderous instrument. Then, I've worked up on my oven something called a bain-marie, Mary's bath, I guess. The Virgin Mary is associated with the ocean, maybe as the great mother goddess, and with water. She's also the Queen of Heaven, which I never totally understood, but a bain-marie is a Mary's bath, and it means that you take one heavy enamel pot, possibly not as gorgeous as Lucille here, but gorgeous nonetheless, and you place it, come with me, come, sit, come. You place it in a bath of water. And the reason we do this with chocolate is because if chocolate heats up too quickly, it will seize and take on this awful granular texture and ruin the whole thing. If that does happen to you, if your chocolate seizes, throw it away. Go to the store, get more chocolate, start again. If you want, when you're shopping for this recipe, you could get backup chocolate, just so that in case you have a seizure in your pot, you don't have to run all the way back to the store. This is now going to slowly melt. You can see the flame underneath, until it is a gorgeous velvety melted chocolate. Now, back to our original place. We're going to separate some eggs. This is the other little tricky bit. But again, an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old who's fairly dexterous can separate an egg, and it's a very satisfying thing to do. I need to dry my pot a little bit. Your bowl should be impeccably clean and impeccably dry. Anytime you're going to whip egg whites, you want the surface immaculate. Otherwise, any little oils or any funny things in there can interfere with your meringuification and ruin the whole thing. So in our clean, dry as a bone bowl, we are going to separate our eggs, which basically is just passing that adorable little yellow yolk back and forth from shell to shell. And once you've got the white, deposit egg yolk 1. We need 4 egg whites for this recipe and 2 egg yolks. So I have 2 ramekins today. If your egg yolk breaks at all, you're done, because you don't want any yolk in your white. I hope I'm not making this sound too threatening. It really isn't such a big deal. 2 egg yolks. We'll do 2 more, but now we're going to get rid of these last 2 oaks. Oaks, smokes, folks, yolks. Beep. You feel like a real chef when you separate eggs, too. That's another nice thing about having a kid do this recipe. You're getting some good technique, actually, from this recipe. You are learning to separate an egg, you're learning to deal with chocolate, and you'll see at the end, you're learning to fold. I'm going to wash my eggy schmeggy hands. Hello? Another thing that is satisfying about this recipe is that all your time is getting used. So while your chocolate is doing its thing, you can be whipping your egg whites. This is going to be noisy, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. You can do this in a beater, or you can do this with a magic wand. I'm going to whip this and these egg whites until they are stiff and frothy with 1 little pinch of salt, which is going to help them stiffen up. Back in a minute. You could have this as your screensaver if you want. Just me whipping egg whites. Hi, this is a funny episode. So we've whipped our egg whites until they are stiff and satiny. Now we're going to whip our cream. My cream became so gorgeous and velvety, I think because I was running around yesterday while it was in my shopping bag. So it feels more like British double cream right now. It doesn't matter. Now we're going to whip this. Whip it good. And I'll be back when this is a fluffy, snow-cappy peak. So, once your cream looks like this, a little bit like a puffy cloud, but still slightly soupy, you're going to add 1/8 of a cup of sugar to it. And then finish out your whipping process. You can do this with a beater. I just love to whip. I whip and whip. Wah, 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 until it's thick, but not clotted up into butter. So you want a nice, thick, stiff whipped cream, and you want a nice, thick, stiff egg white. Here comes your big lesson in folding. Let me get my spatula. Here's my spatula. Place your whipped cream on top of your egg whites and fold them together. We forgot one thing. Excuse the back and forthiness of today's episode. A little tiny 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. Fold that together quickly. With folding, you bring the spatula toward yourself and then scoop it over the top. So we are not stirring these whites into this cream. We are bringing the bottom of the bowl up and over. Up and over. Scoop down, lift up. Scoop down, lift up. It'll amalgamate fairly quickly. And it will look like the most delicious snow you ever saw. You'll want to roll in it. Back to our chocolate. Velvet soup, consistency. Try not to stir it. You'll want to fuss with it. But the less you fuss with it, the better. You're going to pour in a 1/4 cup of Grand Marnier or brandy. I don't have Grand Marnier today. Grand Marnier has a wonderful orange flavor, so we're going to fake it. So a 1/4 cup of brandy while it's still in its bain-marie, and a 1/4 cup, which is just about 2 shots of espresso. If you don't have espresso, you can go down the street and get espresso, and if there is no espresso down the street, just make a very strong cup of coffee. Since, as I told you before, I don't have any Grand Marnier in the house, which is a shame because it's lovely on fruit salad and good in chocolate mousse, I'm going to add the Boyagian. The Boyagians make these great citrus oils. They come in a little box of lime, lemon, and orange, and I put them in everything. We're going to add a little bit because it goes a long way. Maybe like, I don't know, 5 drops of this orange oil. But orange and chocolate is the best thing ever, if you ask me. And then a quick stir while it's over that bubbling water. All the liquids will come together. You can remove them. That's burning my hand a little bit, but I have asbestos fingers. And then just stir while it's very hot until everything comes together. Leave it alone to cool for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I'll be back in just a second. And we're going to put this in that, and it's going to go rough. It will go rough in your mouth. I'm really not that funny today. Sorry for you. By the way, if you'd like me to teach you how to make scrambled eggs, just write into our Facebook page, and I'll do it. If you really want to know, there is a way to make scrambled eggs, I feel, and if you want me to show you my way of making scrambled eggs, I will do it. But if you have your own way, that's fine. So just let us know via social media. Take your 2 egg yolks. Your chocolate has cooled for a good 5 to 10 minutes to get that heat out of there, because if it is hot, it will cook your egg. Room temperature is fine. Put your egg yolks, your 2 egg yolks, into your chocolate gunge mixture. Remove the spoon that you left in there. Stir that in quickly. Your yolks are not going to completely cook. So if anybody's immunocompromised, you're dealing with some raw eggs here. And you need to work probably with pasteurized eggs, and you might want to go on the internet and find out how to do this. So we do have a little bit of raw-ish egg, but I've never, in all my born days, had any problems from this recipe, except for people just wanting more and more and more. Then, take 1/3 of your fluffy white cloud and stir it into your evil, sinful chocolate delight. That will lighten this mixture so that the folding process will take place more easily. I hadn't really considered the complexities of the technique involved in this recipe, but there is some fairly interesting technique going on in this recipe, as simple as it is and as few ingredients as it has. Make a space in your bowl, pour your chocolate in, and again, mousse means foam. And the whole point of a mousse is the lightness of it. In this case, the point of it is the voluptuous, sticky density of the chocolatiness combined with this wonderful, fluffy, lighter-than-air quality. And those 2 things come together and they make a kind of a mysterious dessert. So, we are not going to stir. We'll beat all the air out of our mousse. And it won't be mousse, it'll just be sluge. We're going to fold from the bottom, lift up, and you will see that the chocolate starts to make these beautiful marbleizations in your egg white. Continue folding, lifting up the heavy chocolate from the bottom to the top of the light mousse. Fold over. You're carrying it up from the bottoms. Think about the murky deep of the ocean and bring up all the treasure from the bottom of the ocean. Oh, now you have doubloons and rubies, emeralds, gold, ducats, pearls, aquamarines, my friend Kate Egan's favorite, my favorite too, I think, in many ways, although I like a fire opal. And I don't mind a bit of Tsavorite, although you can't really find a big enough piece of Tsavorite. Here we go. Once you're not seeing any more white streaks and marbleizations, it will be a beautiful dark chocolate color, the color of really good, dense chocolate ice cream. And some of it will spill out onto the counter. You're done. Find a coupe with a big spoon, ladle out, portion out. I like to make it in a beautiful coupe. It also looks great in a big ballon kind of red wine glass. And I would say about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup per person. This is a very rich dessert. You do not need to overserve it. And think how spoiled Mame will feel if she gets an extra mousse after and has 2 mousses or mice on Mother's Day. Take this, put a little bit of plastic wrap over the top, and chill it for at least 4 hours or overnight. I'm going to show you what happens on the day you're going to serve it, or the afternoon or the evening. Through the magic of television, I made this one yesterday. Can you see it? There. You're going to whip this cream. We've taken another cup of cream, placed it in this bowl. This is a totally disorganized episode. I have one last suggestion, which is that when you're whipping the cream that's going to go on top of the mousse, don't take it all the way to stiff peaks. Don't take it all the way there. Leave it with a slight liquidity. There's something about that more satiny, slushy, splooshy, liquidy whipped cream. It's more like a creme chantilly, I think. It's like a looser, more free whipped cream because the mousse has a little bit of stiffness in its texture, and we're going to be very generous. Oh, Mom, you work so hard. There, 2 splooshes of whipped cream. And the point now is satiny white. We're diving down into the depths of the ocean, through the great foam of the sea, into the treasures underneath. And there's something really good about that, more like creme chantilly than whipped cream on the top, and then that little spongy stiffness of the chocolate mousse. And it has just enough integrity as a thing that you have to hold it in your mouth longer than you think you will, and it slowly dissolves. And as chocolate heats up inside your mouth, it releases even more flavor molecules. And that is why eating ice cream or mousse is such a gorgeous experience, is because the flavor is opening up with the actual heat of the interior of your body. Sexy. Happy Mother's Day. You could do this for Father's Day, Friendship Day. There's a great character in Skinny Legs and All. It's a spoon. And she goes out on the road. She comes to life and she goes out on the road looking for something. But at one point in the middle of her journey, she so misses being back at home where she used to get dipped into ice cream and licked and sucked and put in puddings. And she's just really like longing to go back home. This chocolate mousse will make you think of that spoon and the pleasure of being a spoon dipped in this. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry I was so discombobulated today, but you get what you get, and you don't get upset, as any good mommy will tell you. Bye.